thing. It's
Everyone
nice.
does.
I'm Gilbert Godfrey now. I like looking at pictures of people having sex. I like videos with the girls' buttocks moving in such a way.
Honestly, I don't. I hope Gilbert Godfrey does not watch. Like, I just don't want to.
Yeah, you just
such
don't
a
want
nice-
to.
You know
he has, though.
I know he has, but
You know
he's
he
so
has.
non-sexual, man. I'm just.
But
Man, that's a parrot from the Latin. Man, I ain't trying to think about all that.
Can you imagine him making that noise? Come on, some young man. No, it's fine. I mean, you are trying to get fat though, right? You're trying to get like Rocky sized.
Yeah, kind of. I wanted to try to get as fat as I possibly can before the new year to kind of challenge myself to make it like, I don't know, weight loss stuff is fun for me sometimes. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird.
You've
But-
always been kind of like one to like kind of, you do like this with your weight, you go up and down.
Yeah, wasn't it you? You called me like the poor man's Christian Bale with how I can transform.
I don't think I ever called you anything like Christian Bale, to be completely honest. I don't try.
Somebody
I
did.
try not to build up your ego any more than it is.
Well, that's not an ego thing. Like Christian Bale's not that special.
Always get Edward Norton.
You get that?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Whenever I trim, every time I trim my beard down like really, really far, everybody says look like Edward Norton. I don't really agree with him, but
I don't see Edward Norton at all.
I don't either. Yeah, that's a weird thing. And then I get that guy from Shameless when I have my hair all flipped up, but that's
Who's that?
probably just because I have my hair flipped up.
I've never actually watched. I mean, you don't look like William H. Macy.
No,
that's for
it's like,
sure.
I've only seen a couple episodes. It's like the younger guy with he steals cars or some shit like that.
Oh, I don't know. I know people are probably going to be upset, but I've never watched Shameless.
Oh, there's too many shows, dude.
I haven't
You
seen
can't
it.
watch everything.
Shows the size of Shameless are kind of daunting because
6 seasons, right?
yeah, something like that. It's already so far in, and I feel like it's work now for me to go back this far. I'm
Oh,
like,
totally. It is. It's like
It
know,
is,
you gotta catch up. And the thing about watching, the thing about binge watching shows, right? I think I've told you about this before, but the thing about binge watching shows is that especially if they're designed to be released like every other week or weekly or something, is whenever you binge watch them and you watch them just one after the other, it's like it's a fucking roller coaster of emotion, you know? Because
Yeah.
every episode is designed to have like a big climax and then like
Yeah, they're kind
And
of
then
they're designed to stand on their own,
Yeah.
but then fit in a larger
right.
you know.
But then whenever you watch them in a row, it's just like oh, it's all cool. Oh shit. Oh no. And then
It's draining.
It's like
It's emotionally
yeah,
draining.
totally. Like,
Well,
catching up
network-
with Game of Thrones was like that.
Network shows are like that because they're intended not to be binge. They're intended to be watched upon a schedule. But some shows, like you were just talking about how we watched The Punisher.
Yeah.
Punisher was definitely designed to be binged.
Yeah.
And a lot of that
Well, I
those-
think it's
those violent,
starting to turn into that. They're
Yeah.
responding to it.
but those violent swings are missing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Every episode doesn't necessarily have like a big cliffhanger, and that's what makes The Punisher really good because the whole season kind of feels like one big movie instead of each
Yeah,
episode having.
it really
that-
does, yeah.
Yeah. The climax comes like 2 episodes before,
Mm-hmm.
and then the resolution is like that fast descent.
Yeah.
And that's why I love that thing, dude.
Well, it ties everything up in a pretty bow, and it doesn't really, like some of the movies that are coming out now are like so chaotic.
Yeah, we really talk with we kind of get the whole conversation with Jake started off on movies. You know, we start talking about he's kind of a buff of old horror movies and stuff like that, and he loves Jason and
Yeah, and then, the whole music thing, and yeah, we got off on a lot of different subjects.
we really did. I mean, that's what we like, right? We like talking about a myriad of subjects,
Yeah.
and he really stepped up, and he was like the best first guy we could ask for.
Oh, for
You know what
sure. I mean,
Yeah.
well, he sat right down and got comfortable. You know, it wasn't too difficult to start talking about everything that we wanted to all talk about.
Yeah, he didn't really hold back either. He wasn't reserved. He played along. It was fun, and he has a killer Gilbert Godfrey impression.
We got to find that. I don't know if that's.
It might have been after
We
oh my
we
god,
have this
so
habit
funny.
of we'll record, and then we'll kind of stop, and then we'll end up hanging out for like an hour after. So we just end up sitting back down and recording again. But usually it's a little more unhinged.
We'll throw that clip in at the end just so people can enjoy
maybe
it.
we'll find that and stick it in the end. 'Cause
Yeah. But he was we couldn't have asked for a better first guest, and we really hope that you guys are going to enjoy it. But for now, we're kind of figuring stuff out. We're working on social media. You know, we have our Instagram up. We're going to have our Twitter up.
We got Facebook. We got Twitter. We got Instagram. We're going to have probably a YouTube channel. We have a domain that you can go to. It's A2Z
what's our URL?
Podcast, A2ZPodcast.com.
And that's gonna auto route you to what's it gonna auto route?
No,
you to?
we're gonna have. I got something in the works. We're gonna have our little web page. It's not gonna be much to it. It's just gonna have the episode and maybe some about us kind of thing. But
like a simple little tiny blurb.
Right? Yeah. I mean, the big thing is just that you'll be able to access this podcast and pretty much everything. Get it on Stitcher. Get it on iTunes. Get it on maybe SoundCloud. You can find us on YouTube for sure. And then if you have any questions, concerns, or if you have any suggestions, or if we said anything that you don't agree with, or if you just want to give us a shout, get a feedback at A2ZPodcast.com. That's feedback at A2ZPodcast.com.
Yeah, the feedback at A to Z will be like if you have suggestions, if you think that you might know somebody who would be a good guest, or if you have something to say to us directly. But if you want to interact with us in a communal way, just however you're digesting this, get on there. You can argue with us in the comments. We'll try to argue back. Maybe somebody else.
You know, you can get a hold of us through Facebook and every other social media site. The email is just a good backup. You want to write a letter to the editors. So just check those things out. We got a lot of episodes kind of banked up right now, but then we also have some planned in the future. We have a long list of people, and we're going to be not only doing stuff here at like the studio. We're going to be going out of town. We'll be doing some more location kind of things, and yeah, it's pretty fun. Look forward to all that, and enjoy our conversation with Mr. Jake Hooker.
Yeah, let's start this thing.
It's like they're trying to be too meta.
You're gonna make them an offer they can't refuse.
You
Can I buy you a drink?
Well, I mean, he did pick out somebody we know.
Will you sidestep the question? That technology does not exist.
So you just got off the road. How long was the tour?
7 weeks.
7 weeks?
Yeah, it was right at 7 weeks.
How many cities do y'all do?
A bunch. Probably like 30, 35, maybe 40.
Jeez, that many?
Yeah, I did the math, and it was band played. I think 48 shows in 49 days.
Jeez.
Wow.
Were y'all playing like Mondays and Tuesdays and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, every day.
That's a lot of work.
Every day. Jeez. Yeah. A lot of broken strings. Yeah.
So was that the first time to be on the road for that long?
Yeah, the longest I had been on the road before was when I was playing in We Were Wolves, and I think we took about a month on the road with Diesel and Dixie. And those were, like in a week we'd do 5 shows. And then, in there we'd have a day off here and there, recoup, relax and everything. But Daikaiju are just absolutely insane, and it's, every day, and, in a way it seems like, yeah, because you want to get the money for the time out on the road, but at the same time, it's like, there were shows in like living room venues and basement venues, and it's like, sell some merch if we can, if make a few bucks there. But, so there were some $500 and $1,000 guarantees, and then there was some you'll get the door, and there was some
money. This
is going to be fun. We'll pass a hat around, and see if we can get a couple of bucks.
That's really important. It's awesome.
So are y'all rolling around in like a van?
Yeah, Van Kaiju. Actually, I'm not sure if they still call this van Kaiju. Van Kaiju might have been the last one, but yep, the old Chevy Express 3500. I don't remember the exact order of all the titles of that vehicle, but we had to make phone calls about it. We need an alternator for a Chevy Express Van 500 or 3500, whatever.
Did y'all broke down like several times?
No, well, we started having some trouble here and there, and we ran into a few vehicular
scenarios. And, at one point it was like, oh, the tread is flying off of this tire, and you have a hole in your exhaust pipe, and, and then there was all that, and then it was like, boy, all of the electrical stuff stopped working, and, we're slowing down regardless of efforts to...
Did y'all have like a big inverter hooked up, charging a bunch of laptops and stuff like that or something?
No, at any given point in time, there were probably 3 phones charging off of the battery, and stereo was running. The AC did go out because I was in the van. I feel like that's a thing. If I'm in a vehicle, it's doomed to lose
You think you're bad
temperature
luck?
control. I think I'm
bad luck to AC.
AC and electrical components in vehicles. I came home from the tour, and I got in my Mustang, and I was like, okay, here we go. Hope it starts. It sat there for almost 2 months, and then I started it up, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, and it's gonna drive, and so I roll down the window, and it doesn't roll down. I was like, damn it, I can't get anything right.
I drive a Ford Bronco. My window doesn't roll up either, so I think that's just a Ford thing.
Yeah, come on, Ford.
But it's easy to change. I have a question for you, because. So when you were touring, you said that some of these places, some of these venues were like a house party or like a basement show or something like that, right? Just $500 guarantee, and you guys would show up.
Yeah,
and this, that's really cool, because I think that very rewarding for the experience. But
absolutely.
But one thing I'm thinking about is, if you had 49 shows in 48 days, did you actually get to stop and enjoy your time? Like, you're on the road, you're seeing a different person every day, you're seeing a different crowd every day. Did you actually get to make any real friendships while you're out, or like real sort of connections or anything like that?
Well, actually, yeah, there was, there's a place in Ohio, I just call it the Dave's house, because there was 2 or 3 guys named Dave that lived there, and, I'd wake up like 4 hours before anybody else, and one of the Daves would be up, and he'd be like, "Hey, there's 2 pounds of bacon in the fridge. Go nuts!" And so I'd cook myself breakfast and make coffee, and then we'd sit there and talk about like comic books and board games and stuff, and just all sorts of stuff. And so I wound up getting along with a lot of people, and also I would meet up with people from Turbo Yugens and all these other cities, the Turbo Negro fan club. And
it's a pretty deep community, isn't
it? Deeper than I thought, man. I actually have kept in touch with a lot of those people. I've made a lot of friends I still haven't met yet. And
wait, was that something you were doing while you were out there? Like you were on a Facebook group or something and saying, "Hey, we'll be here." In the group.
Yeah, in the group, because. It's like if I post it on my own Facebook page, it's like my friends in the Turbo Yugens will see it, and it's like if it's House Harkonnen up in Chicago, they don't give a shit that I'm playing in Tampa.
Yeah,
it doesn't do them any good unless they happen to be in Florida or whatever. But so I just post in the general Turbo Yugen group, post the event page and just say, hey, I'm on the road with Daikaiju. Yeah, come out and. We'll have a beer and, trade patches or whatever. And I, a lot of them I met in person, had a great time with. And a lot of times, like through the Turbo Yugen group, I just make friends that I haven't met yet. And it's like, I'll be in California over Christmas holidays or whatever. So I'll probably make some phone calls and, meet up with some of those guys out there. It'll be cool.
So kind of what he was, so one thing I was kind of wondering is I remember I talked to you before you went out, said, go out, kill it, take care of yourself. I think it was like a Facebook message thing or whatever, but like bashing out shows like that, like one after another, like just slaying it. Like he says, like, can he actually make some close relationships or whatever? But like, what kind of effect does that have, I guess, like emotionally, like you probably, the first week or so once you went out, it was probably pretty hyped. You were having a good time, but were there like kind of toward the end, like did it change? Were you just like,
no?
Was it like a big blur? Or?
No, like actually, it's really weird because coming from Beaumont, Texas, where I've played in bands, I've been making friends, and I've been staying more or less in the same circles of friends and same circuits of bars for the past 20 years or so, you kind of think, what a fantastic experience. You get to go out with your favorite band in the world and, go do the thing, go, like party with strangers all the time. And you think it's so big and fantastic that, it's one of those things you get overwhelmed. And I was afraid that would happen. I was thinking, after a week, I'm going to want to drop dead. I mean, I need a day to recharge or something, but no, like every day it just made sense. It is fantastic. It's surreal, but you get out on the road, you're out there and you're seeing all this rock and roll happen, you're slinging t-shirts, you're restringing guitars, you're doing the thing, and then you pass out somewhere, or you wake up somewhere, you figure out what state you're in mentally and geographically, and you just kind of get up, you find where they're selling a bowl of pho, and you eat, and then you go play.
So that's how you stay charged up. You're eating pho the whole time.
Pho, that was it. Pho and salads, and
that's smart.
Yeah,
That's smart. Yeah.
Every time I go on like some kind of bender or like hungover, that's usually the first thing I'm craving is some fucking pho.
What's that? It's that bone broth, man.
Yeah, it opens you up, man. It gets
Hydrates you too. Yeah,
It's good for your gut.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Super good for your gut, which is good for your whole body.
Oh yeah. It was a good time, but no, that's the weird thing though, is because it is fantastic, but to me it just made sense, and I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea to just like curl up in a ball on somebody's floor and and just wake up and you can't remember where you are, but it was just great to me. It just made sense, like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then when I came home, that was rough.
Oh yeah.
You mean since you've been back now?
Yeah, it was really hard. It's been really hard waking up and going, well, the whole day's open,
I heard you talking about that to someone just the other night. I didn't really engage in the conversation, but I kind of heard a little bit of it.
Oh yeah, well, it's like it's really weird because it's like no secret I'd been like super depressed over the past like several years, and maybe over the past year or two I've kind of just been on top of it. I've been like in a good spot, everything's been great, and then I go out and I'm living this ridiculous lifestyle that totally makes sense, and then I come home and it's like you wake up and then what do you do?
Do you think it's like an identity thing?
Maybe. I mean, I don't really like the idea of really subscribing to having an identity or necessarily like living up to what I think I am or what I need to be. I just, there's stuff that I do, and, when I wake up and I don't have anything that I have to do that I'm passionate about, when it's just wide open and I can do whatever I want, I don't, at best, I don't know whether to play video games or read or watch the entire Friday the 13th series or, write songs or, just practice songs I already know or try to hit on a girl or, none of it makes sense. So I just sit around like kind of panicking, like,
Get overwhelmed by options or something.
Yeah.
So it seems like you need something in your life that not structure, but something that resembles structure. And what I mean by that is I'm not talking about something rigid, but you need something to attain or something to shoot for.
I guess
just not be aimless.
Something to keep me grounded, I guess.
That's I think that's why people have hobbies. That's why people do all this other stuff. And I feel the same way. I've ever since the food truck's been broken, and my day's wide open. I kind of feel that too.
I think we're all in a similar kind of spot.
Yeah, we are.
But I quit my day job, and I know what you're talking about.
It's not it's not like a depression, but it's almost like a subtle anxiety.
Yeah,
like hangs under the surface, and you know what you should be doing, but when you have all the time in the world to do anything that you can think of, it's almost de-incentivizing.
Mm-hmm. It is, right? Yeah, like
it's weird.
And really, like when it comes to just working on my guitar chops or, working on songs for a solo set or something, which I don't invest any time into doing, obviously. If you've seen my solo sets, they're terrible. But when I do feel open to do things like play guitar, or I haven't done a painting in forever, but when it's time for me to sit there and do my own productive creative thing, like it kicks in around midnight. I live with my dad, so when my dad goes to bed and I'm not going to have any interruptions and everything, that's your creative time. Yeah, that's when I can kind of shake it off and get into what I'm doing. And if I get invited out, if something pisses me off, whatever, then I'm gonna go out and have a few beers. And if I have a few beers, I just I come home and I try to play, and it's sloppy, and I lose all confidence in it. And then I watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like, I watch 2 episodes and pass out. And so that's like, and I hate those days. I hate doing that. It's like I accomplish nothing. It's just depressing. I don't know. So, bummer talk, I guess.
This is the real meat, though. This is
Well, no, because I mean, because
that
I completely understand that feeling, and I'm sure a lot of people do. Because like you said, like, we're all kind of in the same boat. Like, I still have my side gigs, but like, I left my, because I was doing like Monday through Sunday, doing all the different gigs I had, and I left my Monday through Friday gig, and for the first couple of months, it was kind of like that. Wake up on Monday.
Schedule
wide open schedule, and I'm dreading 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Not knowing what I should be doing, knowing what I should be doing, but not, like, that kind of like open thing kind of makes you not want to, or makes you not to accomplish much sometimes, but yeah, it's, I totally get that. And, you'll just waste the day, fiddling around.
And I've been trying to work in like a good habit in there, because I know that, like, for me to get actually productive, like, I know that I need to shut off all distractions. So I mean, wait until late at night it's the time to do it, and I'll stay up till 5-6 in the morning, playing guitar or just doing whatever. So, but I one of the things that I think about being any kind of creative, and I mean, I'm sure this goes into cooking, coming up with recipes, just being any kind of creative or sort of with anything, is if you're not inspired, then it all just becomes muscle memory, and it's not even good anymore. And
it's not satisfying.
Yeah, there's no satisfaction in that. No. So I try to, wake up, have a couple of cups of coffee, maybe get some vague form of exercise, and then, I like to kick back and watch some movies, get the inspiration in there, get in touch with people. I just hung out at my mom's all day today, and that's good because we always have thought-provoking conversation and everything, and, so I try to do things that are like just simply productive for, like, just the soul and the mind. I try to get that stuff done during the day. And, I like to do things that help people out, like give them rides, fix something, help them move furniture, just kind of whatever I can do, like if it's planned right. And then I like to get back and, watch movies, play video games, read books. Like, my dad and my brother both published books this past year. And
so you post something about your dad publishing a book, right?
Your dad and your brother?
Yeah. My dad's been running around locally doing book signings, so I've been putting that on social media more, because it's like, hey, here's a thing happening today or this week or something. But my brother actually published his book earlier in the year, and so I'm reading both of them. I'm a slow reader with bad retention in my brain, so it takes a lot for me to get through a book. But I've got those, and then a book by Brad Warner, this Zen master guy that I've been really enjoying. But
what's that book called?
It's what's it called? Sex, Sin, and Zen. It's kind of a love in relationships and how Zen works its way in there, and it's really funny.
Talking about like human nature and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like how there's stuff that you don't have to experiment with if you don't want to, but if you choose to, there's a Zen approach to doing it. And, you know, I think if I've ever had problems in my life, it's had to do with that field of the human experience. And so I thought, okay, well, you know, I read his first book, Hardcore Zen, which he was a bass player in this punk band, Zero Defects. And, you know, so he's always had the punk rock.
What's with punk rockers becoming motivational?
I don't know. It's weird. What you talking about Henry Rollins and a bunch of these other guys?
Well, I think what it is they go through, you know, they go through a lot to get any kind of success. You know, they don't luck out. There's no TV show that.
Well, and they're also by nature anti-success at first.
Yeah,
high ideals. Anti-success. They prescribe to things like selling out, a lot of that stuff, and the life that they live is kind of like a really dynamic roller coaster.
Yeah,
the highs are really, really high, and then
the lows are low,
really, really low.
Talking about like bandmates overdosing,
absolutely.
Getting murdered, killing other people, and going to jail. Like
it's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean this guy, he was. Like never into drinking or drugs. I mean, he does mention his experiences with drugs and stuff like that. But you know, I had read books on like Zen Buddhism before, and I liked what I read. It's stuff that I just thought kind of made sense. But so I brought it up to a friend of mine who said, "Hey, I found this book," and I was like, "That sounds cool. I'll get it on my Kindle right now, and if it's good, I'll let you know." And so I read it, and I just completely fell in love with it because. It was like, you know, a lot of it was stuff that like...
It was like it was written for you.
Yeah, which is kind of... In ways, it's kind of like, well, I didn't really learn anything because a lot of it was like... It's kind of like somebody with a degree saying stuff you've already thought about. Mm-hmm. But it was validating. But, I mean, and also on top of that, he did put things into words that I really needed to read, you know, and you know, I mean, it's not that I didn't learn anything from it at all. I learned a lot from it. You know, that was not fair of me to say, but you know, it's, you know, after reading it, I realized that, you know, it's kind of like I've heard people say that Buddhism isn't a real religion. I was kind of like, it's supposed to be, you know.
Well, it's, I mean,
it's on the bumper sticker.
Them saying things that you've thought is, it's reaffirming.
Yeah.
You know, not in a sense that like, you know, it's just like preaching to the choir or anything, but it's like it's nice to see that you're not crazy or that you know that you're thinking the right direction, or other people are too.
Well, not just that, but the fact that like somebody that, and you know, he like in his introduction to his first book, he's like, well, why did you buy my book? You know, why do you care who I am? I'm a Zen master. What does that mean? Not much. I got a certificate. Whoop-de-doo. You know, like kind of anybody can get the certificate. Like he immediately shuts down the fact that he's a Zen master, you know, because, you know.
What the fuck does that mean?
Well, that sounds very Zen.
Yeah, well, he's entirely not into having his title. And
relinquish your titles.
Yeah, and then he trash talks people that are like, and well, I mean, he's tasteful about it, but it's kind of like spiritualism is kind of shit, and you know, all this stuff about like trying to reincarnate is kind of, you know, he's not really into it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, well, I'm not in for this like big crazy religious thing. I'm not into having a one up on the rest of the human race. I want to figure out what this Zen thing's about. And I thought of it as being like a state, you know, kind of like when I'm playing a guitar solo and doing it well and I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. Like I've had it described to me as, oh, that's Zen. You're in the Zen state.
In the
so
zone.
I was like, okay, well, I want to...
There's they call it a state. It's not a flow state.
A flow state. It's the same thing as the zone for like.
Yeah, the zone. Yeah, I've heard a number of things for it, but so like, I kind of thought that what I would be doing if I was in a practice of it, if I learned more about it, I was kind of thinking the point is to stay as in that state as often as possible. Yeah. And it is and it isn't, because it's kind of more diluted, because, you know, in that state you're like just free of everything, but in your normal life You know, like me, I've got a million thoughts in my head, and a lot of them are destroying everything that I am, every fiber of my being. But it's like what the Zen actually, what it really is, the reason to make a practice of it or even learn about it is it's just a method of accepting what reality is and letting go of that stuff that doesn't exist, which is like all of your thoughts about shit that you are not at the present moment involved in, you know? Like, what's my girlfriend doing? Well, you don't know, so quit worrying about it.
She's doing whatever she's doing.
And which is a really simplified way. I mean, I rambled about it. But it's.
I mean, the most, I guess, the deepest truths from whether it's philosophers and people or whatever, are like they sound super simple. You know, like the Stoicism thing is like living now. You know, like the present is all that you have. You can't do anything about the future, and there's nothing you can change about the past. Learn from the past, but like right now is all you have. So be the best that you can be. Be as true to your nature in the now as you can.
Exactly. And, you know, I mean, and I think that's about that's about where it's at for me, and that's what I've needed. You know, it's kind of what I've felt like focusing on was. You know, the best thing to do. And the thing is, like, you pay attention to it for a while. You remind yourself, don't get hung up on this. This is the kind of thing that ruins your day. And so you make you like stop and you're conscious, and you don't just like, you know, I'm not going to think about that. You say, no, okay, well, I'm thinking about that. Why am I thinking about that? And then you apply some reason to it, some logic, and you go, so there's no reason for me to be thinking about it. Okay. And then you've dealt with it, and then you move forward. And it's like, okay. So that's helped me out a lot. You know, like I'm pretty much happy all the time. And, you know, would I refer to that as some crazy stage of enlightenment? No, but
I use the term enlightenment in a way, and I know it sounds cheesy, but it's more like you reach these levels of understanding whenever you start thinking about things like that. I've kind of put myself in that mode in the last year, and what you said earlier about how you can't stay in it all the time is because I've kind of seen that whenever you start thinking that way, people who aren't in that state of mind, it kind of weirds them out. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, well, there's a reason there are a lot of books on it. There's a lot to say about it. Oh yeah, but like back to kind of why that even came up is the only book next to my bed that's not by a very close relative is that subject, but focused on being a sexual being, which, you know, is an absolute mystery to me. Like, how to do that.
How to do that?
Yeah.
A sexual being?
Well, just how to relate to people. Human beings are fucking frightening.
Well, that's the thing is we're infinitely complex. And each one of us are almost exactly alike the other. You and I are almost exactly alike. Yeah. But we're also infinitely different from each other.
Infinitely different.
Yeah. And it's a hard thing to wrap your brain around. And the Zen, the stuff that you study I think it's very helpful for you. I've been friends with you for a long time. Well, actually, probably not that long, you know.
A couple of years, I'd say.
A couple of years. I met you back in the Vortex days, but you don't remember who I was. I was just...
I don't remember much about the Vortex
exactly.
days. I remember I was there all the time.
I was like a shit-ass kid, you know, so... But, you know, I was this shit-ass kid, and I was interested in girls that were there. And none of them were interested in me. They were always interested in you, and you were so blind to it. You never see... Like, I know you now, and I'll talk about that. And you're like, I had no idea. Girls were interested in me? I was like, every single person that ever came to the Vortex was like, I just really want to have sex with Jake. I don't even care if it's... I don't care what he wants. I just want it.
You know, the only people that ever told me about that were, like, dudes. They're like, oh, yeah, all these girls want to bang you. And it's like, well, you're my buddy, right? You know, like, at least point a couple of them out. And it's like, be like one or two. And it's like, I know that girl's a psycho. Like,
I can relate to that.
Yeah. Why are you telling me about that? Why don't you ever point at any of the girls I like, you know? It's like, And then when I do, like, you know, meet a girl and start talking to her, it's like, oh, that girl's crazy. I'm like, yeah, but I like her brand of crazy. Everybody's crazy.
Everybody's nuts,
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, as soon as I hear that girl's crazy, it's like I'm intrigued. It's like, oh, let's find out how deep this crazy goes before I regret it. You know, let's figure it out. But I don't know. Yeah, humans are frightening.
Is that as going on tour, and now that you're doing a sort of a less stable lifestyle than you were, because before this last time you went on tour, you were being an AC tech, I think, right? Isn't that what you were doing?
Yeah, I was fixing air conditioners.
Right. So, but you had a much more stable lifestyle. You would meet people. You would probably do more of a similar thing on a day to day. But has this next phase of life that you step into, no matter if it's like temporary or you're going to be like this forever, but has that affected your relationships? Not just, you know, with your friends and your buddies like me and Zach, but like with girls, you know, is it harder to try to talk to a girl knowing that there might be an expiration limit on it?
Well, you know, I mean, I've talked to some girls out on the road. I mean, you know, you've got to talk to people, but
there's kind of an underlying knowledge though when you meet somebody on the road, right? They know that this is just for right now. You know that this is just for right now.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, also I think like when you're traveling with a band like Daikaiju, like, you know, I think a lot of people that show up to the shows knowing what they're in for, or like they're there on purpose, and you know, like to you know, key them in on the inner circle. It's like, yeah, I fix Ace Man's guitar strings. You know,
yeah,
like,
that's interesting.
Yeah, you know, even as a guitar tech and occasional merch guy, it's just like, you know, it's like, oh, I saw you in the van, you know, what's your name? What are you about? You know, and you know, like for me, it's like, yeah, I know. I mean, it's not like after, you know, it's not like next Thursday I'm going to be able to find out who this girl is, you know, like, you know, talk to her now, see what happens, you know, have a couple of drinks, have a good time, have a few laughs, and take off. Like I if I was better at doing that in my hometown, it'd be a different thing. But you know,
well, there's pressure. So meeting someone on the road, you know that the majority of the chances that you're never going to ever see this person ever again. So there's absolutely no consequences on whatever you do. If you want to have a couple of drinks, you want to have an interesting conversation with this person, you can do so free of anything, of any, you know, preconceived notions about where it's going, about what's happening. But when you're in your hometown, when you're in Beaumont, and you start talking to somebody, you apply a set of rules that you might have prescribed yourself.
I think probably Jake, and I think even myself, probably I think it's a different perspective on it than you might have, though. I
don't know. I think what I'm saying is universal, though. I think it applies to everybody.
There is a thing, yeah. If I meet a girl here in town, like, and I start talking to her and we're having drinks, you know, there is part of me that immediately is like, how many of my friends have you had serious relationships with? Because inevitably, especially since I've been in the area so long, it's like, oh, yeah, I dated your dad for 8 years. Oh my gosh.
Wait, you had that happen?
No, that
sounds like a bad example.
No, but it's always weird. It's kind of like, you know, it's girls that have lived in the area. They're my age. And they've at some point in time dated like very close friends of mine since I've known them. And it's just like, how have we not met? How do I not know who you are? You know, so that's like kind of one of the first things. And then the second thing I want to figure out is, all right, which of my friends were you looking at before I interrupted you? You know?
Yeah, there's a list.
Like, yeah, and you know, I mean, yeah, I guess I don't actually have a pre-written list of things that, you know, I think about, but definitely, I mean, there's the whole, like, I'm going to be in Beaumont for at least 2 or 3 months. So this can be an amazing thing that I'm going to have to be like, okay, well, you know, the band needs me to go fix guitars. I'm going to be on the road for 2 months, and, you know, then there's the whole thing about guilty consciences, trust issues, and all this stuff, and just the whole weird thoughts of what's this other person doing in a different area code, and
so that's why you need Zen.
Yeah, and really, I mean, I've more and more just been thinking that it's like, yeah, being single actually really works in my favor, not because I can go bang girls, but because I don't have to answer to anybody at all, and I'm not taking drugs. I mean, I'm getting drunk a lot out there, sure, but there's no like 2 a.m. Hey, what are you doing? Just seeing if you're going to respond,
there's no games. You don't have anybody that you're responsible for.
Yeah,
right? I don't mean that in like a demeaning way. I mean you're responsible for your significant other's emotional state.
You are. Yeah, it's a kind thing to just be like, I'm not dead, and it's 3 a.m. Clearly the show's done, and I'm talking to you.
Have you ever heard of Sex at Dawn?
No.
It's not Zen, but it's kind of talking about I guess human sexuality, things like that. It's more of like a kind of pseudoscientific study of like how we see things, but it kind of kicked off this idea of that kind of like polyamory kind of thing. But it's like the biggest thing that I've gotten from looking at those things and the Zen things like that is that like most of our relationships like that we have, especially I guess where we're from and like in this area and probably really a lot of places in America, it's like it's based on this almost kind of like you said, I'm not daddy, like this kind of almost like a possessiveness, like a responsibility for the other person. And that's what makes people either miserable in relationships or not want to be in them.
Yeah.
Well, that comes from fragility, I think. I really do. I think that if you have have an ounce of emotional fragility, or if you worry, like you were talking about Zen, you can't know what the other side of yourself is like, what you're doing. You can't know what your significant other is doing at all times.
Yeah.
And if you actually do worry about that a lot, that's going to come to the surface, and then it's going to mess a lot of stuff up.
Yeah, it does. Like, it always does. And honestly, I don't think I had an ounce of that until one of my first long-term relationships when, it's like we were having fun, and I was kind of like, yeah, this is great. I don't want this to become anything serious. And then, like, there was feelings hurt, and so I was immediately like, at that point, I felt like I learned 100%. You can't do that. You can't just have fun and be like, oh, this is cool. By the way, if you see me with somebody else, nothing against you. That's just the kind of prick I am, like, which I in a way was like really honest. But, I mean, I'd never really been
how old were you when you had that experience?
19 or 20. I was
a very, very young man.
He was very young, yeah. And but and I was like, from that point, I was like, wow, that can really have a bad impact on somebody, and I don't want to hurt her. I don't want to hurt anybody else, and wound up in a very long relationship because of it. And
that's not fair to you or
no, it really wasn't. But I mean, I'm glad I went through it. I'm glad I had the learning experience there, and I wish no harm on her, certainly, of course, because I didn't at the time. But at the same time, like I got complexes from it. It's the thing that made me go, well, okay, well, when you're with somebody, you have a responsibility for them, and they have a responsibility for you too. So it's, that's the way these things go. That's the way they are. And that's something I learned way too young because it's wrong. And unless you're doing, I think, the standard Christian get married, start a family thing, which I don't have a problem with, but it's not the thing I want to do.
That's kind of what I was saying is like there's just this how we view relationships and the things that make you want to be single and like make you not want to like even just casually hook up with somebody out of the fear of it becoming this kind of where you, because I guess I don't know if it's how you feel, but like I kind of feel like a sort of responsibility,
Yeah.
Like because you like this person, you have a fun time with her, and then like if they want to go past that and you don't, then you feel bad. So it keeps you from even trying to do that in the future because you don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't think that's how it should be. And I don't think that that's how it is all the time, because I mean, I think we're moving toward a point where people are more cool with just having,
having something that makes sense.
Right. Well, I mean, on both sides, where the women kind of feel that way too, and where it's not this big thing. You know?
You're starting to sound awfully polyamorous.
No, I in my head, like, I truly believe in it. Like, I think it's right. I think what we're doing now is wrong, and I think it's based in puritanistic, backwards. It's not right for our species. I don't think monogamy is right for our species.
I think that you're absolutely right, but I also think that you're absolutely wrong, because I think that some people are made for each other in a certain way.
I didn't say everybody.
And that's the thing is, there is no one way to do something. There's no one prescription.
Right. I didn't mean to say that.
Sure.
I didn't mean to say that.
The monogamy
it's polyamory or the highway, but it's...
You only use species. You kind of use this super, super umbrella term, species. And I was like, I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
I get where you're coming from, but
I get it too. I'm just clarifying.
It's
fine. Just being an asshole.
I was actually even like... I was in a conversation recently, and I see people post on Facebook stuff about how bad slut shaming is, and the big thing is when a girl does it, she's a slut, and when a guy does it, he's just being a guy. And a girl being called a slut, there's an ugly word there. But when a guy's just being a guy, and I've never had that kind of behavior.
You've never been that guy.
It's like, right. I'm lumped in with every guy, and every guy does that. So I'm this untrustworthy, like...
Well, yeah, that's the same backlash with Hillary and the basket of deplorables. It's like you can't say that... everybody. You can't say that every man is toxic or something.
Yeah.
And also, like, I personally, like, I know girls that, they're pretty open about, like, I kind of just want to hook up tonight, kind of seeing who's out, on the town. And I'm like, okay, well, cool. And, for me, I'm like,
it's not for you.
Yeah, not so much for me. Or at least I had been that way. And since I've, realized that maybe I don't need to be the monogamist I've been for the longest time, like, I'm kind of open to being open to, changing the game up for myself a little bit.
Experiment.
I don't know. I don't want to dive into any weird shit, though. But no, like I say, I don't have a problem with girls I know, especially if they're honest about it. Like, absolutely. I just want to get mine. I got my shit to do, and I don't want to get tied down with a man, but I want to get some dong, I have less of a problem hearing a woman say it than a guy.
Right, it's respectable.
But at the same time, it's like, really, it's just kind of like, why, people like to hook up. They just do. And that's guys and girls, Christians, Muslims, atheists. So there are groups of people that like to hook up and do it and not call each other, and it's all fine. Maybe 6 weeks later they do it again, whatever. And then there are people that, I don't know, like me, it's like I want to have fun for a little while, see if it's something I want to pursue, and but I focus on one girl at a time, and I want to also have dinner, watch a movie together. Like,
you're a classic gentleman. That's my assessment of you, knowing you're a classic gentleman. That's for sure.
And then there are people that want to find the one and start a family. Like, I don't think I ever want my own children. I'm not scared of girls with kids, because kids are fun. And I can imagine that having a stepkid is kind of like being an uncle, but you can't just hand them back. But at the same time, when they're a little older,
that's a good assessment.
You do have the, you're right, I'm not your real dad. I'm going to go have a few beers, or, I'm going to go play guitar. You deal with this in your way. I'm just trying to get you to respect your mother. Sorry, I won't. But, like, I'm not trying to start my own family, and I'm not trying to just bounce around hopping inside girls every now and then.
Yeah, that's
so.
the problem is assumptions, because everyone makes their own assumptions, and then people don't really think of things objectively. And like with you, I just said that you're a classic gentleman, right? It's true. But a lot of people, I think, probably make an assumption that you're not because you're handsome, right?
Well, thank you.
And, you know, I'm not trying to I'm not stroking your ego, first of all, but, you know, you're a musician, you travel, you're well known.
Yeah.
You're very nice, people like you and respect you and stuff like that. And people might think, hey, this guy gets like a lot of play, I know it, right? That's how people probably assume. They go, this dude must catch a lot of tail all the time. I don't know. They probably see you as being slightly dangerous.
I think they do assume that. I think that's actually been a huge problem in my past relationships, because at the time, though I might not have been looking to start a family necessarily, I did want to get that one girl, and I think she found the guy that she was absolutely sure would just piss her dad off. And she, you know, by the time I'm drinking beer with her dad, hanging out, laughing about classic rock stations, you know, then they're like, I got to find somebody who sucks more than this guy.
I got to find somebody my dad's going to hate because he likes you.
Yeah, and, you know, it's weird, and, you know, but also at the same time, if I find a girl that's like, it's like, yeah, this guy, you know, he's crazy, he's drunk, he's setting fire to his shirt in the parking lot, you know, we're going to have a good time tonight. And I'm like, well, I wasn't prophylactically prepared for this. Let's chill out.
Let me get your number. I'll call you tomorrow.
Let me call you tomorrow. And then it's like, oh, okay. And then it's like, hey, let's go get a burger from Checkers or something and like watch TV, play video games or something. And then it's like after a while, it's like, I kind of thought you were a dangerous guy that was gonna, you know, bareback it and, you know, maybe run the risk of starting a family. And I'm like, more like,
I thought you were a story, but
yeah, I'm like, you know,
that's an A to Z exclusive there. Is that you do not raw dog it, just so everyone knows.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, there may come a day, but at this point in time, you know,
it's not today.
Wrap it up, kids.
I'm absolutely certain that right now I'm not ready to have children, so
or herpes.
So, you know, or, you know, any of that other mountain of bullshit that comes along from, you know, 2 hours with the wrong girl, which I've always heard is not really that rewarding anyway.
No, it's
you've heard it, but you haven't experienced it.
That's true.
Most of the time, I think it's disappointing.
Yeah, and you know, so like I'm really very seriously in between there. Like, you know, if I meet a girl, it's like, you know, I take a couple of days before I really want to, like, you know, be like, hey, I'm really digging this. Let's take our shoes off together or something. Well, you know, maybe not that.
Well, I think being in the mindset of like wanting to find somebody who just wants to be chill, we're in like the worst possible area.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
I think we are. Yeah.
Yeah or no? Well, that's the thing though, because like,
I see that.
There's a lot of pressure in the area, especially to have the one.
Right. We are in the Bible Belt.
Or to be a slut or a regular guy, but don't tell anybody about it. And it's like, seriously, I think it should be totally cool to be like, going out tonight, hope I get laid, ya girl, you know, on Facebook. It should be totally cool.
Well, I mean,
and people should be able to do that without any shame, because, you know, like, because we don't live in some weird puritanical dark ages, and, you know, but like,
I don't even know if it's the hooking up part. That the thing that's attractive about women like that are more open like that is the women who want to go out and hook up are more interested in doing their own thing and taking care of their own. They're more, I guess, self-sufficient.
Which can be very interesting.
And well, that to me makes me want to keep them, you know, because it's like, hey, you know, I love the idea that we can have a bang fest on Thursday, and I'm going to go play shows all weekend and play video games on Monday, and, you know, go whatever, maybe Tuesday if you're free, like, we can have a text message or two, and, you know, and I like to spend time with a girl and all that stuff.
Right, but like I don't want to take care of somebody, you know, like I don't want to, you know, have some fun with somebody and then, you know, they need me to, like, you know, they need some kind of emotional support past that. Not saying that I'm not willing to give it, but it's more of that kind of.
You don't want it to be part of your everyday routine.
It's more attractive for them to be self-sufficient. Any kind of person you're attracted to.
Yeah, I'm good. I've got work, and after that, I've got hobbies and my own personal responsibilities.
That extends far past
it's both sides.
That extends far past sexual partners. I mean, you pick your friends based on their accomplishments, based on how much of an individual they are. Right, that's just how we pick people to surround ourselves with.
Yeah. I mean, like, do you have any friends that don't work and don't have any hobbies and like just don't do anything?
No, I don't, and that's my point. Like, there's a lot more to it than that. I mean, we surround ourselves with people that enhance our existence.
Yeah.
Right, and people that don't do shit, they don't enhance our existence.
Yeah,
I'm not saying everybody does that. There's probably some people that are totally fine with not, but
I think that's probably the metric for picking guests too.
Probably so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm unemployed. I'm sitting around at my dad's house. I'm not paying rent, but I do try to make my contributions, and I've got hobbies and stuff I'm interested in, and I honestly do want to marathon Friday the 13th movies sometimes. And it gets me thinking, and I process thought about it. It's fun. I'm Irish too.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've got the blood. I'm American.
Hell yeah. You better be.
Let's see how many people in Ireland listen to the podcast. Let's check the comments on it. They're going to be
what
like,
the fuck? Fuck you.
Like, that wee bastard's not. He's not Irish. He's American. Because that's how Irish people talk. Oh God. I can't go to Ireland now. I just fucked that all.
You probably talk to Jody and them and find out how Irish people talk.
Oh yeah, they've been practicing.
They've been working to it. It's the thing. I used to watch a lot of Scottish, and I still watch a lot of English stuff, but I haven't watched a lot of Scottish stuff. But but it's been a while, so I'm sure my ability to fake a Scottish accent has suffered. So I'm not going to do that. But I don't know. But I've never nailed an Irish accent. And I met an Irishman in London that challenged me to it when I had a lot more confidence about it. And that's when I realized I didn't do well.
No.
I didn't do well. He told me it sounded Australian.
Well, there's a lot of... there's not just one Irish accent.
I know. I was like, this is Southeast Ireland.
That's the thing a lot of people don't realize, like the English. Like, there's like 26... English accents. Mm-hmm. There's more accents in the tiny little island, tiny little British island, than there is in all of the U.S., right? You can count up, there's like a New York accent, Boston accent, Southern accent, Texas accent, Midwest California, accent. Midwest. They're all very distinct. But there's at least 3 times the amount in England.
There was a girl I worked with when I first moved to Houston that, like, eventually... She just decided that she couldn't hold back anymore, and she had to tell me how funny my Beaumont accent was.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like, what are you talking about? And
is that a thing?
I'm like, you're from Houston. Accent? You're from an hour and a half west of Beaumont.
Have you really? That's a thing? We have a Beaumont accent.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is, because, I can do impressions of my friends, and they don't sound like me, but, they This girl was like, yeah, you say it like Beaumont, and I'm like, Beaumont? What? I don't say Beaumont.
It's probably like a little bit of that come down to Beaumont, like Louisiana kind of. We got a little bit of that Cajun draw.
I don't know that super Cajun draw.
I don't know.
I don't.
It's weird. Like, I mean, there's clearly something to it, because like other people were like, "Yeah, you do. You sound like you're from Belmont." And I'm like, "What? Like, come on now."
Well, one thing talking about the accents of the UK is one thing that I've seen an article about several times. Is they like Shakespeare and people that study like Shakespeare and stuff like that. Like they say that Shakespeare sounds the best in an American accent. Because
it's more close. Our accent is more close.
Because basically, like you think of it like the dialect of UK English started splitting from whenever they started colonizing, right? And think that was around that was
industrializing.
Right.
Too,
Well,
right.
well, I mean, they separated.
Sure.
It became America, and then or United States, and that became that stayed what it was. But like it split off from there. But around the same time they were colonizing was around they had the same dialect as they did back in Shakespearean times.
Right.
And then
more
and then we held on to it.
Yeah.
And developed it a different way, whereas they kept building.
I've heard that. I've heard I can't. Okay, so
I've got
there's gonna be a lot of times when you're listening to me, and I can't like cite exactly what I'm talking about, but just trust that I'm talking about something that's real. But so I actually heard this one guy who was a dialect expert explain the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson, and how the fact that they did not use British accents in the movie The Patriot was more accurate than if they were, because the plain, almost non-regional diction American accent they used in The Patriot was more in line with how people spoke in colonial times.
Right, and we stuck to that. And I it's an idea that I've gotten from Laura. She's majoring in Spanish, right? So the thing about Spanish speakers in Spain and Spanish speakers in Mexico.
Way different.
Well, exactly, and the reason they're way different is because they came over, they colonized Mexico, whatever, like that, and all that, and then there's still those Native American dialects that are still in there too,
and also our dialect.
But like the motherland where the speech came from, where the accent came from, kept developing the same way it had been, whereas the one that was here developed its own. It kind of
shut off.
Yeah, it became its own. That's why it like in Spain, the way they speak has more of a like they have this kind of
like an into the mouth type of
they pronounce I forgot exactly what it was, but they pronounce it
sound like the th thing.
They but in Mexico they don't do that because that's something that developed after they
that's like I've got family in Madrid, like, so I got a bit of a history lesson, and that's like a what is it, Castellano or whatever,
Castilian, I think is what it was.
And I've heard that dates back to some member of royalty having some sort of a lisp or a cleft palate or something.
So he just forced everyone else to speak like him?
Well, no, people wanted to be more like the royals, so they would imitate.
I don't know if it was more they wanted to be like the royals or they didn't want that guy to think he sounded stupid.
But either way, it was
that wouldn't be surprising.
So they adopted.
But now even
I've
Spain,
heard that. I don't know if that's true.
But even in
the
Spain,
most
even in
shit
Spain,
anybody's ever heard.
There's a lot of different kind of dialects in Spain too. But like that's kind of the same kind of thing as the British is most of the plays and the things that came out in the same time that they were colonizing here. The reason they say it sounds better is because that's how they spoke in those times. Like we're speaking with, and maybe not in the South, but like the average overall our dialects is the same as people in the UK spoke.
I like to think that I speak with a pretty American accent without. Now I have a lot of Southern influences, and it can come out, but I like when I went to California when I stayed there for a while. People would ask me where I'm from, and I would be like, I'm from Texas. Where? Southeast Texas. And I would explain. They'd be like, I couldn't tell at all. They're like, you don't seem like that. I guess I don't sound like that. I had a
lady ask if I was from Georgia.
See, yeah.
In Beaumont. And I'm like, no, I was born here.
Were you drinking like the sweetest tea possible?
No, I had just like skateboarded home from work, so I wasn't drinking anything, which is what I thought you were going for when I started responding to that. But no, I had visited New York City shortly before then, and I think I just tend to like kind of chameleon in with like you know, people around me, like because accents and dialects.
You quickly pick up what they're putting down, right?
Yeah, they're fun to me. If I watch What We Do in the Shadows for like a week, you
start sounding like you're from New Zealand.
Yeah, and but you know,
I like how they say yeah.
But so I think I picked up little bits of like the New York. I mean, in a way, it's like I didn't want to be like suspicious, so it's like if somebody says something, I'll be like, "How you doing?"
I think that's really natural. I think that's very natural.
And so I think there was just like a little hangover from that. Like in a couple of weeks later, I was like, I don't remember what I said, but the way I greeted her, she was like, "Where are you from?" And I was like, I was born like 4 blocks from here.
Well, that's that Beaumont accent.
Yeah, well,
I still don't know what the fuck is.
I'm not sure where
Somebody
she
has
was
to-
from. She said, you sound like you're from Georgia. I was like, Georgia?
Georgia?
I've never even been to Georgia.
Dude, I'm fucked with my accent because like I didn't think that I had much of a country kind of draw until I listened to the past few episodes that we've done.
Yeah, we do.
And,
we
like,
do have.
dude,
And you're like,
do have-
I sound like a guy. I sound like a guy. Dude, I don't care. Like, but I just
I'm gonna
damn,
be
I
up
sound
another
like
Lone
a
Star beer. I'll
goddamn
tell you
hick,
what, right
man.
now.
Yeah,
I sound
man.
like a fucking hick.
See, one thing that's our problem, Zach, is that we're from Silsbee, Texas. So the thing is that we're used to very flamboyant Texas accents. We're used to cane head accents. We're used to, hey, how's your mom and them? Oh yeah, I went over to Jimbo's house, I've been picking up. So when we compare our own accents to that, it seems completely non-regional. But, I mean, if we talk to somebody else, they're going to be like, yeah, you sound like a country bumpkin.
I fucking love it though.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, it's like
It's comfortable. It really is.
It's comfortable.
well, I mean, I hate that maybe other people would hear it and think less of the person speaking that way. But I like to almost intentionally speak that way, but like say intelligent things whenever I talk like that. So it's just kind of like this weird.
Yeah.
I think I would rather be like an
People
intelligent
don't really,
Southerner. Yeah.
People don't really understand the Pythagorean theorem. I mean, they think it just refers
Right.
to like the dimensions of a right triangle, but really, the
it's all
whole
about the
purpose
sphere.
is like any shapes that are like similar, so they're like the exact same shapes but like different sizes. Anything else that's connected and it's got the same hypotenuse is gonna actually have the same surface area, except there's like a formula that goes into
wish
it.
I was higher.
Are you talking about a Ford or a Chevy?
Oh,
I ain't heard of no Pythagorean.
I'm talking about a Browning because fuck that Mossberg shit. No, actually, one of the things I've thought about is I've actually asked my British friends, not that I made a bunch of friends in England, but friends from England that live here, Andy Coughlin and that other guy named Andy from England, and
Andrew.
Andrew, yeah. Who I haven't talked to in a long time. His last name just isn't coming to mind at the moment.
He's not like going that of accent either. He knows it.
And he's from Bristol. We talked about this.
Right.
But I was talking to people and I said, well, what do you think because like a lot of people like have an idea of a British accent. And it's either like this kind of like aristocratic thing.
Or Cockney.
Or a Cockney thing.
Yeah.
Well, the aristocratic is the lack of an accent. If you're
Yeah. But that's kind of what I was going for.
Right.
What do you think the American accent without an accent is? And like it really, the answer was right there in the house because,
Right.
Hugh Laurie is British. He's hilarious.
He is,
He's a genius.
Yeah.
But like, and he actually talks how I kind of thought I'd talk as an adult. Mm-hmm. It seems we have a problem here. It's like
very intentional.
it's like
his
very
speech.
everything is very pronounced. There's no draw. The grammar is accurate, and all of the letters and all of the words are well pronounced. And it's like, holy shit! Like, what part of America do they talk like that at? In what part of America do they speak in such a dialect?
Have you ever heard of the transatlantic dialect?
I can't say that I have.
It's a completely made up thing. So if you watch any movies from, I'm going to say like the late teens, like 20s to the late 50s, that sort of mid-century American accent that you hear, like Humphrey Bogart, Cary Grant, some of these guys, you hear that, and every word is absolutely intentional, and it just seems really strange, right? You're like, did people actually speak like that back then? They really didn't. They spoke just like we're speaking now. I had that question one time, and I learned that there was a thing called a transatlantic dialect that was made up in the boarding schools of the Northeast, and also the boarding schools in Britain. There was, and they did it so whenever students would be exchanged, there was like no loss of conversation. There was no nothing. You couldn't even tell if it was an American that was going over to London or if it was, some kid from Glasgow even coming over and being trying to make his way to Princeton. But it was a completely...
Go pop off to the loo. It seemed to have shut my cakes.
Yeah, it's a good Scottish,
Like,
yeah.
what?
But yeah, it's so strange that almost every movie that was made in America during those times used that transatlantic accent. And it was completely made up. It was a boarding school thing.
Huh.
It's wild. I don't know.
It's crazy. But I kind of wonder if that's how Hugh Laurie like trained his accent. You know, because somebody said, I don't know, like that sounds like maybe kind of Midwestern, but
He's also gifted at accents. I've heard him do different impressions, and I've heard him do a more typical American accent. He's hilarious. He did like a California accent. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, I believe it. Yeah,
I'm gonna jump on the 10, and you're gonna go for like 5 miles, and then you're gonna jump on the 20. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
It was so much funny listening to him because he's a thespian. But
he is. He's great.
yeah, that was a weird tangent we just got off on.
Yeah,
on accents.
Well, you know, anybody who's ever tried to hold a conversation with me is aware of my tangents.
Wait, what was it? A to Z?
A to Z.
Yeah.
That's the name of the podcast.
A2Z.
It all goes. Yeah, whatever goes.
Thank you for joining us on A2Z, brought to you by whoever the sponsors happen to be of this particular podcast.
Yeah, you want to do our intro for us? That sounded good.
I will from now on. Yeah, I want it to sound
good.
like British public broadcasting. You know.
Yeah.
Today's program is sponsored by viewers like you.
On the BBC.
On the BBC. BBC 4 presents
1 through 12.
the A to Z
It was only
podcast.
1 through 4, huh? There's only like 4
They have
BBC
a
channels.
lot of... No, there's more
Oh,
than 4.
that's now.
That's why they're generally like, you know, quicker, sharper people than we are. They got 4 channels, and they've pretty much agreed that most of it's crap. You know.
You remember European Vacation when he turned on the TV and started clicking through the channels, and on all 4 channels it was just a documentary about cheese. I don't know why I remember that. And that was so funny to me.
I haven't seen that movie since I was too young to be allowed to watch European Vacation. You know.
Yeah,
No, I don't know. Like, I mean, that depends on your standards. But
my parents let me watch anything I want, basically,
yeah, I had a lot of freedom
with
of,
context. They gave me context if I asked for something, but they pretty much let me watch anything I want, unless it was grotesquely violent.
Well, actually, like I've mentioned Friday the 13th already. Like, I'm a huge fan of that series, and I recently got on the Deborah Voorhees Sheer Horror group on Facebook, and Deborah Voorhees was a scream queen. She was in part 5. She's gorgeous, does this nude scene, and then has a very memorable death. Spoiler alert.
No, you gotta say spoiler alert before you say it.
Yeah, okay, well, don't look it up on
40-year-old spoiler.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Don't look it up on IMDb. Don't find out who it is. You know, just wait for the credits and you'll be like, oh, okay, that's her. Yeah, good job. And you know, but it's great. And she actually, you know, she moderates the group, and she posts questions now and then. She was like, what was your first Friday the 13th movie? And, you know, it's following suit of other comments. So it was like,
You know what we'll have to do? We'll have to look for a Friday the 13th coming up next year and have you. We're gonna try to do episodes with Tim doing movies. So maybe we could.
Let me be the Friday the 13th.
We want to have me, and Aaron, and Tim, and then like a guest. I guess you could say. So maybe we could do something like that.
I'd love to be the guest.
That would be
on
fun.
that.
Well, you definitely have the credentials, it seems.
Well, for Friday the 13th, anyway.
And Friday the 13th. You're in communities.
Now, if you want a Halloween specialist, get Chris Corville.
Yeah,
that dude loves
he's on the list.
The Halloween series. In fact, I've got other SM57s. Like, I can bring more mics.
Oh yeah, no, we'll be fine. I have a whole nother setup.
Yeah.
So like
Good deal. Yeah.
So
because we can geek out on movies, and I will happily be the Friday the 13th guy. Though I do have a soft spot for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But what was I getting at?
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
we're talking about horror movies now.
Yeah, and then there's the mention of that Facebook group.
That's the beauty about this podcast.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what it was. She poses a question of what was your first Friday the 13th movie, and my dad rented Friday the 13th for me, the first one, and okay. Before I tell you this, I got 2 older brothers.
See, I didn't even know you before tonight. I didn't even know you had brothers.
Yeah,
I only thought you had one sister.
Everybody knows Mary. She's younger than me, and Sam and John are older than me, and so
do they live around here?
No, Sam lives in California. John lives in Philadelphia, and
Okay, that's why.
so anyway, we're all kids. So I'm probably 8 or 9 years old, and so Sam is like 12, maybe 13 years old, and video rental stores were the thing. VHS tapes, DVDs weren't a thing yet. Laser discs were like, yeah, one day we'll afford that. And so it's like, hey, can we go rent a movie? No new releases. Don't worry about it. We're on a budget. Sure. So we pick out Friday the 13th because I want to see these movies. And usually, as a kid, I would be like, I want to start with the newest thing. Fuck what came before it. So this was one of my proud moments of actually wanting to start at the beginning. So we watched Friday the 13th. And, okay, you know what? I'm just not going to spoil this. Anyway, so I was like, okay, on the comment thread, I was like, Friday the 13th, the original, I saw it 1988. I was 8 years old. And this girl who was a scream queen, had this this amazing scene that I should not have seen when I was, I don't know, maybe 10 when I saw it. She said something like, "I will
spoil it." What was the scene?
It's
old enough.
Boobies.
Oh, the boobies.
There was boobies and gore. And seriously,
Was there blood on the boobies?
No, actually, no blood got on her boobies. That might have been in the contract.
I think every 8-year-old needs to see boobies. I don't think they need to see gore.
Well,
but I think they need to realize that humans are humans.
Yeah, and I'm about to segue into this because the thing was, so her response was, I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies when I was little. I'm kind of amazed at how many people saw these so young. And
wait, that chick was in that group?
She's the moderator. It's her group. Yeah, she's
and she's that chick that you saw in the first.
In the fifth movie.
Oh no shit!
She's in the fifth movie.
God, I love the internet.
The internet's beautiful.
No, it's great. She's really enthusiastic about it, and she's liked my comments, and I'm very like,
that always feels good.
This is cool. Yeah, like this girl. Like I mean. From the first time I saw that scene has never left my mind. I mean, she's absurdly gorgeous, and her death scene is particularly unique. Like, it's kind of like a really perfect Friday the 13th moment. More on, why, I don't know, a lot of people hate part 5, but I loved it. And part of it was her scene, that scene was not long enough, if you ask me.
Anyway,
especially
back,
the boobies part.
Back to the first one.
So, anyway, I saw this. In this, this is my segue into my thoughts on that. My dad, one of the first movies I remember seeing as a kid, it was The Thing in 1983.
Fuck yeah.
And so it might have been 84 when we saw it. So I'm like 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that we're watching The Thing. And, I think I fell asleep in it or something. But, I'm
glad you did.
And I don't think I could really even form sentences well. Right. It was crazy watching The Thing. And, he's just kind of always been like, horror's fun. I've always liked horror. And he'd rent movies for my brothers and me. And, my sister was really little, and I think even we didn't want, my brothers and I didn't want to expose her to that. Not yet, give her, let her learn how to walk first, so she can run. But no, it was just one of those things, because they scared me. I lost sleep about it, and but I'm grateful for it because I learned I got the moral lesson from it that if you have sex or do drugs, you're gonna get fucking murdered.
Man, you had no chance, man.
No, they brought me up Catholic too.
It's all making sense now.
Yeah, it's just like guilty conscience and bad things happen to you if you ever deviate from the norm. And then we'll talk about all my drug experimentations in the 90s, but no, we don't have to.
Wait, do you really think that's why you kind of have the mindset that you do now?
Well,
horror movies?
I think
slasher films, anyway?
I think being able to watch slasher movies as a kid, And, you know,
It's definitely an easy conclusion to come to.
well, I think
Right.
my dad granting me that freedom, and then, you know, and then as best he could dealing with the fallout, you know, but I didn't want to let him know I was scared. So like, it was like, you know, just sleep shitting in my bed all night long, you know, and then, you know, just hide the evidence, you know, but because I wasn't giving up the ghost. I wanted to see more of these movies, even though they scared the shit out of me. But I think, you know, like, it gave me a fascination for special effects. And so when I could look in the Fangoria magazines and, you know, like see all this gore and stuff,
Well,
I got more into how did they do that? I know it's fake.
Right.
There's no way they can shoot this for real.
The thing is a big example because like I kind of believe that like even the movies that were made in those times using those effects and especially with the cutaways, like it left more to the imagination, and then the gore.
The thing didn't have anything with the imagination.
Yeah, right. But like what they showed looked so much more realistic than what I saw growing up in horror films.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because that was the beginning of like CGI, so everything that I saw growing up wasn't
hokey.
nearly.
Yeah,
it was it was hokey janky. It was scary, yeah, but like not. It's the movies back then seemed to have had. They were. Like I said,
they were more disturbing. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
Well, yeah, and actually that's something that like I've talked to people about. Like if you watch like the original Friday the 13th or Friday the 13th Part 5, you know, whichever one, all those ones with all the practical effects, especially if you can find a copy on a VHS tape and watch it on a tube television set, you know, the CRTs, if you
Get
want
the
to get all
real
talking about it.
feeling.
Well, there's something about the shit quality of the video that makes those practical effects, you know, blend in better. And even the stuff that looks fake, this is something I haven't really been able to figure out how to put quite into words. But there's something demoralizing about going, that's obviously fake. And so the actor is like really hamming it up when it comes to smashing their head on a windowsill or something.
Well, it's distracting. If it takes you out of the movie, then it's completely self-defeating.
Yes and no, but I've actually found that a lot of the stuff that looks fake is actually just more disturbing. Like
Sometimes,
deeply.
yeah, for sure. Sometimes.
But
if you're trying to figure out though if it's fake or real, and it's hitting that uncanny valley part of your brain, it will make you step aside the movie completely.
yeah,
I think that's what CGI is just now.
That's what
CGI is just
does,
now getting
right.
to the point where there's not the uncanny valley, because back, you know, the Thing still holds up.
Absolutely.
Jurassic Park still holds up. The I guess one of the more cult ones, Evil Dead, the pencil in the ankle.
Oh, yeah.
that one
Yeah, yeah.
still holds up to
You know
this
what else
day.
holds up? This is what scared the shit out of me was The Fly.
Yeah,
Any Cronenberg movie when I was a kid
yeah.
just scared the crap out of me because I was never afraid of some person like killing me. I was never afraid of like Jason coming in and killing me. What I was afraid of as a child was transforming into something that was unrecognizable.
Yeah.
That's true horror.
peeling
And,
peeling that shit off the eyeball.
Yeah, and some of the Fly seems kind of janky in points whenever he is transforming, but at the same time, dude, that stuff holds up. Like when he's scratching those open wounds on his face.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen American Werewolf in London?
Oh yeah,
It's
That's a
been
solid
a
one, too.
very long time, but
Stan
I've
Winston
seen,
is like, oh my god, man, that guy.
Yeah, that one's where
I've
his
seen that
friends
transformation scene. Oh yeah, and that's
the dead guy are the people he killed, like that. Like
oh yeah.
those effects are fantastic.
They're amazing. I remember I saw like the edited for television version as a kid, and like the flaps of skin hanging on his buddy's throat and stuff. It's like, oh, like I love it, but I will not sleep tonight. You know, like
Right. Like, I don't know what happened. You know, I guess we got CGI is cheaper, but also not. I don't. You know.
Well, you know, I hear about the millions it takes to render that stuff, to do the best they can with it, and it's like,
Well, you hear about the special effects studio shutting down all the time because they get.
I don't, but
Well, I mean,
I don't read into that a lot.
It's a problem because all these blockbusters need special effects, and like these special effects houses are, you know, they're getting this this, they're kind of competing for bids to do whatever, and like it takes so long and it takes so much to do it and so much manpower that like a lot of them are shutting down, like special effects studios.
Yeah, I still think practical is better. And we were given examples of some of the best special effects ever. That first throat slash in the first Friday the 13th, just watch it. Like, just check it out, because as an adult, I've seen that movie so many times, every time. And I actually still am not exactly sure. I mean, there was like a prosthetic throat with blood in it and stuff. But like every time I see it, I want to look back in whatever book that was. I saw it because it was like, but I also don't, because I don't like having the magic spoiled. But that very first throat slashing is the most convincing thing I've ever seen in a movie as far as special effects goes. And, you hear about, there is like the Michael Bay reboot of Friday the 13th.
Was that Michael Bay? I didn't realize
it was Michael Bay.
You talking about the movie that had that one guy from Supernatural in it?
Yeah.
And I didn't know that was Michael Bay at all.
I saw it in the theater, and I wanted to get it again.
I kind of liked it. Yeah,
I liked it. I do like the old stuff better, but I want to get a copy of it. I want to watch it again.
I liked it because it was a total homage. Like it was formulaic, but that was kind of the best part about it.
It was and it wasn't. There are things they do with lighting and clothes. I mean, well, it's really more like camera nerd crap to talk about, like, and almost like if I tell you, if I really knew how to describe what sets it apart, and if I set it out there to the listeners, they'd watch it and they'd go, yeah, this doesn't capture the essence of the original. This movie sucks. And I hate people talking about how bad reboots are. It's like, you know what? You don't like the reboot? Don't watch it. Go watch the original. Well, fuck off, All
right, about reboots. This is my stance on reboots. Is I feel not every reboot is bad, and I enjoy some reboots. But the thing is reboots overall, I'm tired of them. I'm exhausted from reboots because
I'd rather them do something new.
Right, and that's the really sad thing about it is when you really think about it, there's more talented writers in the industry in LA right now than there ever has been. There's more writers than there ever has been. There's more professionals and more creatives than there ever has been. Yeah. So there's a much better opportunity for us to see new and original content.
Yeah.
And they're completely doing the other thing. What they're doing is they're making a safe bet. And they're going, let's make the Power Rangers movie, because a lot of, kids that really like to look through rose-tinted nostalgia glasses are going to go see it. And it's true. But the thing is you got to step up. You got to let these people, write original things.
Yeah, there is. And also when you take something like the Power Rangers, and part of me wants to see it, I kind of want to see what they do with all this slick new technology.
I already saw it. It was good.
It was good. Like, and I feel like if you watch it objectively and think,
I would have
the putties aren't
something
going
I
to
didn't
be
see.
in rubber suits,
right. I would have rather seen something I hadn't. I would rather have had a new experience than a retread. That's my point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and I get that. I wish when they did that last Friday the 13th movie, instead of a reboot, I wish they'd have found a way to resurrect it and maybe said something like, this takes place before Jason goes to hell, or
It's an interesting thing too.
Because really, I mean, how many summers have passed when counselors showed up before the campers did?
Lot.
Yeah. They took years off in there, and, I'm sure it wouldn't be that hard to... Are you a comic book fan much
Absolutely,
at all?
I am.
Do you read Hellboy?
I did in like the early 2000s. I read it a lot. I haven't read anything Marvel in a really long time.
But I thought Hellboy was
Dark Horse.
Dark Horse, yeah.
It's both.
Like
it's
subsidiary.
It's swapped. It's swapped a couple times, I think.
I've picked up some graphic novels.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Thing is, I'm not much of a comic collector. I'm not good at collecting, but
I just love the lore.
I love the stories, yeah. And Hellboy's great because it's like, oh, I got the new issue of Hellboy, okay. And it's like you crack it open and it's like 1987. Yeah. And then like the next, after that storyline's done, it's like, 1933. And then it's like It's like, we're just doing a story based here in this time. Okay, like I love the fact that I mean, you know, if they kill off one of the main characters, they can write thousands of storylines before that happened, and it doesn't matter,
Right.
Like, I would love to just see more of Jason popping up and doing all this stuff, and it's not,
we haven't had a Jason in a while, huh?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Yeah.
What
The last one was that. It was that Michael Bay.
It was the reboot by
was that the one with Jason and Freddy, or was
No,
that?
that was before that, but yeah.
Yeah, Freddy vs. Jason was the last one to really, I guess, come out in the series.
Right, that was the last, like, true slasher in line with the others.
Yeah, and I don't know. I did purchase the DVD. I don't think I ever watched it after I got it. Same thing with Jason X.
Jason X was horrible.
Yeah, it was, but I feel like I should give it another watch because it was one of those movies that was, it was, in a way it was super shit, but it was also, it was self-aware, and it was also like...
It was half of it was dark humor.
Yeah, and a lot of it was like...
It's very self-referential. It was...
Yeah.
It was like...
That was one of the first Jasons that I really watched.
Yeah. It was making fun
I'm
of
sorry.
its own self.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't come up in like a movie watching household too much, so it's like one of the first ones I remember is like the New York one.
Jason Takes Manhattan. I watched that a couple of days ago.
And then the one that I really remember is Jason X, because that was around the same time I started.
Oh, shit. Well, you know what? I bought a bundle on the Google Play Store. If you have a Chromecast, we can marathon the first 8 movies. And I just did that, and I'm ready to do it again. So whenever you're ready.
If you want to spend a lot of time with Jake, you can do that.
We can do it over a period of the next 6 months.
We can do it at the bar.
I wouldn't be opposed. Well, that was the other catch of doing the movie thing with Tim, is that we're going to do it at the bar.
Oh, I have
table.
a Chromecast. If I can get on the Wi-Fi, we can do Friday the 13th 1 through 8. Like I've got the access on my phone.
I don't think we have like the
/fest.
I don't think we have the bandwidth for that much.
I can download them on my phone temporarily, like one at a time. We'll do it. I'm into this. I just wrote your next 12 shows.
There you go. That's easy. I'm going to change the subject because if I don't remember it, I'm going to forget it. But you made me think about this when you were talking about camera geeks and we were talking about special effects. You ever using that film that I gave you? Have you used any of that yet?
Not yet. Because right before I got it from you, I loaded a roll of Ilford HP5 into my Nikon. I need to finish off a roll in my Canon, and then because I stare at those rolls of film, and I'm like, what am I jumping into next? And
do you still have the Olympus? Do you still do the digital stuff? Or?
I still have it. I shot a couple of pictures on the last road trip, and the thing is, I didn't have a lot of motivation to shoot, and
Well, you're probably very busy, I'm sure.
There was that, but even though that camera was there, I was longing for a film camera, which is completely stupid. My digital camera is amazing. It does a really great job. But after I shot film and I looked at the results, especially when you're shooting with expired film, it's like, the pictures will show up. People think expired film, it's no good. It expired in 1988. And it was kept in a freezer and it's fine. But it might have some weird characteristics.
Well, dude, I completely understand because I got this kit, and the more I upgraded my gear and got a good setup, the less I like the photos I take with it. The photos that I took with my cheaper Canon with some prime lenses, I look back on them and it's like these look great.
Didn't you have a point and shoot Ricoh too?
Yeah, I got rid of that. I got a little Sony now, but that's the thing is I found that whenever I upgraded my kit to a pro level setup, I stopped enjoying it.
Yeah, well, I kind of feel that's one of the things that also transcends with guitar and even art and stuff. Is that I kind of feel and maybe it has something to do with getting gear that's bigger than necessary.
I have gas. I have gear acquisition syndrome. For sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I go through some of that, but it's I don't know. I mean, I feel with the Canon camera that a friend gave me, actually, I was hey, can I have this? And they're okay. It's just sitting there. And I was can I buy you a beer? And they're like, we'll talk about it later. I'm like, okay. So I got myself a Canon AU1 program.
Yeah, the AU1, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like one of the best student cameras there is, and I am in love with what comes out of that. And I got an old 1970s Mamiya 645 medium format camera. It's a blast to shoot because it's this big, stupid box that... it's not metered, so I have to bring a digital camera to take a picture and be like, that looks good. What were my settings?
There are apps for the phone that are amazing.
I've got a good light meter now and all that stuff. But man, the medium format stuff looks amazing.
I still have to find that Hasselblad to let you use. I always forget about it.
Oh my God, I would love to shoot that. And but yeah, no, like it's like my enthusiasm for the digital, and part of the problem with the digital, in fact, probably my number one problem with the digital, is you see something cool, you can just take like 40 shots, and I'm not good at saying this is the best one, so I'll delete the other 39. And but it's also like, since you can shoot so many times, it's kind of like you're not going to take as much care. In getting it just right, and
that's the kaleidoscope method.
Yeah,
just shoot.
Well, I mean, realistically, like the great anybody can take an amazing photo. It's really about the level of output. Now, not saying the pros probably have to take less shots, they frame it better, everything like that. But like, if you go to an event or to something and if you just point and shoot and click a couple of times, you're probably not going to take some great photos unless you know what you're doing. But like, if you go and you just shoot like 500 or 600 photos in an hour or something, or even more than that, like 1,000, you're going to find something.
The odds are, you can't not find
right, and that's kind of how photography is.
Unless you absolutely just have no clue about composition. But even after that, you can find something really good, and you just crop it, and you make your own composition.
Yeah, and that's where I get aggravated with myself, because I should take my digital camera. I should maybe aperture priority if like I want to do some stuff kind of quick, but I'd rather do it all in manual. Because I want to be able to, look at it and go, I've gotten better, but yeah, go and shoot tons and tons of pictures just for the practice. That way I'm not wasting the film. Right. But with the film camera, like every time I take a picture, I'm like, when these 36 exposures are up, it's
really mad at yourself.
It's $11 to develop it. And then at least the site I go to, I get scans, and then I can see if anything's in focus, but like with the digital stuff, I mean, you can blaze through. And to me, the digital is more of a great learning tool. It's a great way to practice.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to practice.
No, I mean, that's right. But I'm also like, I'm not big on editing. I'd rather get the professionals to develop my film, and I'll go through the negatives and the scans, and then be like, okay, these 3 I want in 8x11. Just send them.
Right.
Like I'd rather do that. I've got people that can print out the digital stuff, but And it's a little bit like hipster analog nerd crap, I guess, that I'd rather have shot it on film. But I mean,
well, there's more to it than that.
There really is. But I need to go shoot with my digital stuff somewhere. I spend enough money on it.
Absolutely.
Right.
But I figure if I can go out and blast a bunch and then eventually like go, okay, well, now I'm getting better photos and taking fewer of them than then like I've kind of earned the ability to say I've done this. And like your amazing, beautiful setup right there. Like
I hate it. I absolutely I mean, that's the thing is like that's my journey has been like whenever this upgrade, this setup, like going to full frame, getting L lenses, like getting a better kit, like this is a pro level kit. And I find myself not wanting to shoot in manual. Yeah. Whereas whenever I was before I got this, I was shooting all manual with like a little APS-C Canon and some prime like that. That's one of the photos I took, and like I look back at the photos that I took that are like that, and
it's a gorgeous photo,
and I love them. But like now I want easy mode, and I don't want to take the camera out, and I'm not happy with any of the photos I get out of it, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just in my head or what, but like the better the rig I got, the less I enjoyed it, or the less I liked what I put out. And I don't know what it is.
And I think that is where my philosophy is as well, is that I want to pull out my digital camera and, shoot some things, and maybe keep it like aperture priority or total auto mode, where it's like, oh, I got good pictures of what I did and where I was. But I also want to bring like the Mamiya and my tripod and be like, okay, now I'm going to take my time and really frame this up, and I'm going to have an analog picture with, and shooting in medium format, you're getting like the equivalent of like thousands of megapixels,
It's about
It's a huge output.
No, it's that maybe
not thousands.
It's probably around 40 megapixels, 45 megapixels. Is
probably
what
right.
probably is.
Somewhere in there. And my Olympus,
the crystal count.
My Olympus, I think, is a 12. No, it's like a 16 megapixel.
16, yeah.
And it's not all about megapixels. There's so much to do with like. Part of me would like to digitally only do Fuji because they have the hexagonal pixels and it's randomized and, it represents colors better. But I'm colorblind. That's part of why I don't do photo editing, is because I'm colorblind. I can't see it,
Do y'all remember that? Do y'all remember that phone that came out? And this was years ago. This was probably 4, maybe 5 years ago. There was an LG camera that came out that claimed to have a 40 megapixel camera in its phone. And granted, this was 4 or 5 years ago. And I remember, and I because this was back when I used to be a lot more involved in actually doing camera things, film things, art stuff. And people would always ask me about that camera. And I would be like, yeah, there's no way. I mean, maybe it's 40 megapixels if you take out a file and you start zooming and stuff like that. Maybe, it might be extrapolated. But the thing is megapixels do matter, but they also don't matter because of physics. So in a camera, in a phone's camera,
sensor size.
Yes, it's not even just a sensor size. It's the lens size. It's how much light is coming into this device, right? So when this thing is as big as a match head, I don't care if it's 40 megapixels. It's still not. It's not getting all the information that a real camera is going to get.
Well, yeah, and I mentioned sensor size because like I've watched a whole lot of YouTube video. I've spent days worth of time watching YouTube videos about like what makes cameras cool, and digitally.
That YouTube degree.
I do.
I got it too. I tell everybody that all the time.
And my Olympus with a tripod and usually using my phone as the shutter button because you don't want any shake in this. Yeah. My phone uses the image stabilizer, which is a sensor shifting technology. It actually shifts the sensor around it to tiny little degrees and takes like 8 different pictures. And I wind up with a composite that's actually a 64 megapixel picture.
Right.
And it's insanely like beautiful quality. Zoom way in. Forget
deep color, everything. Yeah.
Forget taking pictures of anything that moves at all ever. But if you're getting like a well planned still life thing with proper lighting or just attractive lighting. I kind of think fuck proper lighting. Like I'd rather shoot something attractive than something that looks right.
Right.
It's and again I'm colorblind, so like getting me as a photographer, it's like I would not do well in a portrait studio. Though I think I take good portraits. I think part of another reason I like film is leaving the colors up to the characteristics of the film. And it's like, okay, yeah, your skin looks a little red in this picture. It's not exactly what you look like, but is it an attractive picture? Whatever. But anyway, like
there's truth in it too. I think you're drawn to the truth of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm more about what's attractive, what sounds good when it comes to like any kind of art or entertainment.
Well, that's the thing is like the gear doesn't matter because like I'll have my camera I'm not happy with, and then I'll give it to somebody like Simi.
Yeah, and then want it back after you see it.
I'll load the card in, and I'll see the photos that he took, and I'm like,
My camera's great. What's wrong with me?
It all comes down to how you use it and how you frame it and everything. And then I'll see other people take photos or use my gear to take photos, and it's just like I'm like, it doesn't matter what you have. It's what you do with it, you know. And
yeah. And well, I also think it's not even as much based on like skill and motivation. Well, no. Let me backtrack that. It's not based on so much skill and gear and like all the stuff that you want to have about how like you know how to use it, you know how to frame up a shot, you know all this stuff. But it's more motivation. My aunt gave me a Leica point and shoot, and so you drop the name Leica, so it's like okay, it's fancy German. It's one of it's a point and shoot that cost like $1,200 when it came out.
I thought about selling all my shit and just getting a Leica. Just getting a cheap ass old Leica. That's it.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
I know.
And this one's digital. There are manual settings, but you have to go in with the little buttons on the back. Like, there's no like dial controls, or there's like one little dial for the thumb.
Yeah, it's just your rangefinder, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and not even a rangefinder. There's no like eyepiece on it.
Oh.
You know, it's like just through the screen. It's like
it's just like a little
very
pocket
simple
camera.
Yeah, it's very
They
small.
probably put it out just because it's like people are bitching about us not putting out digital. So here you go.
Yeah, it was. Well, the truth is though, she handed it to me because I just happened to like I didn't know what was in her collection. I know she's a big Fuji fan and she's got like Canons and Nikons and all this stuff. And so I just said, yeah, I'd really love to shoot with a Leica. And she's just like, I'll be right back. She runs into her office. She comes back and she just hands me a Deluxe 5 and like, here, have fun with that. I was like, oh, thanks. So I run around shooting stuff, and after a while, she's like, and I was like, that's really cool. I'd like you. And she's like, no, that one's yours. Take it. It's yours. I was like, holy shit. I mean, it's an awesome gift. Like, I didn't mean to ask her for a camera. I was just like talking shop, and she's just like, here you go. I was like, oh, that's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And, but so like, I got it, and that's like the fire was lit. I already knew a thing about framing up stuff because I worked at a TV station, as a studio camera guy. So I knew a thing or two about framing. And, I was watching YouTube videos and reading websites about like aperture and all this stuff. And some of the best pictures I've ever taken were the ones when I was just like, I finally get to use a camera, and I was just like shooting flowers and dogs and, just stuff I saw around Colorado.
Just being a documentarian.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm going to shoot everything.
Well, it's almost the same kind of thing as some people say they don't want to learn how to read music because they think it would fuck up their expression. And you learn too much about using the camera settings, it might fuck up just being able to capture.
I've been playing guitar for 25 years, and now I wish I actually knew something about it.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll try to learn it. Like when I went back to college, when I cared about it, I did well in it, and so maybe I can study something about how music works, and then I'll actually do well with it. But yeah, I was always scared of like I'd learn the rules of how a rock and roll song is written, and like I'd be afraid to break them. I'd just stay in these like. In this box, gate. Yeah. Like I didn't want to be stuck in a gate. I wanted to play cool, but I didn't want to be one of these guys that plays the most formulaic stuff like way faster and cleaner than everybody else.
You always hear the players that stay in the blues box,
Yeah, and it's hard to break out of that. Mm-hmm. Like I've done a lot of that, but I've found little things I can do in the blues box that I was not told you can do this. Yeah. And like I've tried to like push my limits and expand my boundaries musically, and I mean it's kind of one of those things. It's like have as much fun as you can with the sandbox, and then see what you can do about getting a bigger sandbox. And if that's going to music school or learning how to use your aperture to take a photo that's technically wrong if you're going for a perfect landscape or portrait picture, but you're doing something artistic and it's like fucked up, but it's beautiful because you knew what you were doing. Like something about achieving what you intended and not going, well, I meant to do this, but this happened and it was great. Like that's those are the limbs that have been keeping me from falling on the ground. It's like, well, I did have an idea in my head, and I started trying to play it, but I came up with this, and it was kind of better, you know, and I just, you know, accept what I come up with. But I think, like, maybe being masterful is being able to come up with an idea in your head and immediately play it exactly the same way on guitar, or immediately take that picture. Just be like, oh, well, you know, if I had a, you know, f1.2 aperture with a shutter speed.
I think it's just increasing your odds at greatness. You know,
yeah, you know.
I mean, that's just it. It's like, you know, knowing how to achieve what you're looking for. And
exactly, And you know, I mean, some people strike gold with no actual knowledge of what they're doing.
Yeah,
and
those are called one-hit wonders.
Yeah, I've been working on trying to be one of those.
Trying to work on being a one-hit wonder?
Yeah.
You just got to come up with a Macarena, man.
Hey, man, if the coffee song doesn't make me a millionaire, I'll keep writing songs.
Do you want to wrap it up on that, man? Like,
sure,
that's fine, yeah.
Damn good ending. Well, man, thanks for coming and hanging out with us. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah,
Did you enjoy yourself?
To be here.
Yeah, it's good. It's
always
good stuff. Good times, huh?
I like rambling.
Before we go, do you want to? We just got done talking about art. Do you want to tell people your Tumblr so they can look at your stuff?
I haven't posted anything on Tumblr in a long time. There is
lazy
one
bitch.
there. If
Lazy
you want to
bitch.
go all the way to the earliest posts on Tumblr, I have no idea what the name on it is, but I did some paintings and I posted some old bedroom recordings.
Yeah.
And I don't mean my fuck tapes. I mean fucking around with a guitar and multi-tracking. So, some songs on old personal shit from when I was super depressed.
That sounds awesome. Actually, I want to hear that.
I make sure. I have the